No, I'll take that. I will. I send for. Just for that once the chair stretches.
Well, let's maybe put it here. Easy for you to grab. Yeah. And if you want me to cancel things, if you need something, okay. Use me as your assistant for now. Okay, sure. So I'm not looking like a total doof for 20 minutes and I don't necessarily moving. Yeah. Or you can just step right off the stage. Or if that's what it's
up to you. I mean,
we're going to start as she'll probably introduce us both. Yeah. I'll probably step off and get a little bit of stuff. And just
sure. Yeah, and then I'll let you do your thing.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, folks.
I don't see the gallery.
Good morning.
Welcome, welcome. We'll just wait for a couple of more minutes for the other attendees.
All right, thanks, Bill. Even a virtuals, I help people.
Hello.
Good morning.
The business people, like, we're like 5 minutes early.
There's a lot of chat about it.
I'm sure.
There's some.
Crazy.
There's going to be some interesting things we're going to go.
Yeah. Well, I know the locations have said that they're going to do something today.
I think it's interesting. You see a lot of images on the screen. Using lot is so important. Understanding how this is working. We're learning so much as a society right now. It's a different world. It is. And even for our guests, I mean, two-dimensional screen with a three-dimensional story happening.
Yeah.
How's everyone? We're just waiting for other people to come in.
It's weird. It's definitely a whole new world. Set some serious safety precautions for all our patients. Then our discussion I had in my group that I hang out with this morning was go back and soft a little bit now. Yeah. So you guys are talking about the plexiglass, decorate the plexiglass to soften a little bit.
Good to see you.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
I've enjoyed our neighborhood. A lot of children starting bring out
yeah,
that's really nice.
Yeah, I came home, our neighbor's kids did that in our driveway. I was like, oh, that's great. Like, I'm happy they did it. So it was way on the week.
How you walk out, you'll see it when you go for walks. Yeah. Our little dog likes to sit in the window and look out and watch the neighbors go by. And she barks when they walk the dog. Yeah. It's wonderful, except the problem is he barks a lot because so many neighbors are walking. Yeah. I'm also our neighborhood volunteer. I do the rink in the winter and then clean up the park in the summer, just walk around, clean up in there. The other neighbors, of course, it's all the neighbors. Everyone's walking around. And blue bins and organic bins, bins and walking. Anytime someone sees garbage, we just all make it and just pick it up. Just see some garbage, just pick it up. There's so many bins now. And just drop it in the next bin. Right?
Yeah, there's a name for that, right?
What's that called?
Wombling.
Sorry?
Called wombling.
What does that mean? Wombling?
To pick up litter as you go for a walk.
Okay, wombling. So.
Yeah, my parents and my whole family used to do it when I was growing up.
But now with all every house has the bins, the back alley is usually.
So maybe just 2 more minutes of waiting, and then we'll start our session for today.
Well, wobbling, when you go for a walk, you can pick up the litter you see in the walk, put it in the local that you see just at people's side yards or the park garbage cans. And Allison, who works here at the Fitter Teens, told us there's actually a term called wobbling. So it's actually so many people are out for walks now that we can actually all work together to clean up our city, which is kind of a nice little extra thing we can do, right? Yeah. We can all wobble. Yeah. We're really encouraging that. Yeah. Just get up. 10 minutes before and think about your posture, of course, right? It's so important to walk with your posture, and even when you pick things up, as a posture. Yes. Yeah. So we'll talk about it later. Time and gravity will win. Yeah. If you all respect and understand that is a fact of life. The time of gravity does win the game. That when you're even going for a walk, just being mindful of your posture and your breathing, because those things are so important in life at any age. And picking up garbage, think about how you pick it up and do it. Seems simple, it seems obvious, but do it with mindfulness, and it's just that much better. Everybody's talking about healthy ideas for daily living, and that walk you just talked about is exactly healthy ideas. That's right. Living,
Okay, Blair, we can start now. It's 11:05 in my watch here.
Sounds great, Bill. Go ahead.
I would like to welcome everyone to another session. Today's Thursday, and I just want to go through again with some Zoom housekeeping. We will all mute the audio, and then later on we can unmute ourselves when you want to ask a question, or there's a chat button over there below, and then just make sure that the chat button says all panelists, so that, or to everyone, set to all panelists or to everyone, so that all your questions will be answered, and then we can share it to everyone who is attending right now. And I would like to introduce to everyone our speaker for today, our guest speaker for today. He is born and raised in Calgary, and he's the youngest of 7 kids. He started Fitter First in 1985 after a knee and double foot operations on a $3,000 loan from his single mother. After placing pro fitters in all the 1988 Winter Olympic training venues without permission, Louis gained worldwide TV exposure for the company. Louis raced on the national speed skiing team from 1991 to 1995 and reached a top speed of 205.56 kph. In 2016, Louis won the EY Entrepreneur of the Year award for Prairie Provinces. His favorite quote is, "Balance is the essence of movement, and movement is the essence of life." Let us all welcome Louis Stack.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks, Mel.
You're welcome. And then our next one, and of course, everyone our loyal clients know him. His name is Blair Schachterle, and he's the founder of Nose Creek Sports Physiotherapy 19 years ago, and has been a physiotherapist for 28 years. He's passionate about keeping people moving to stay healthy as they start to age. Again, let us all welcome Blair Schachterle. Okay, guys, and again, there's a prize for the best question for today. I will be selecting the best question shared for today's session, and then you will receive a special gift certificate from us, and I will let you know later on after the session. And then I would like to ask Blair. Hi, Blair. Do you have a goofy question for our viewers for today?
Yeah, so Bill wants you guys to make sure you know how to use your chat box. So Bill wants to know, has anybody ran out of toilet paper yet? Just put in yes or no in the chat box. And Bill, we can't see the chat, but I guess there is a little bit there. There you go. So if you can just make sure you read the questions back to us, that'd be great.
Okay, I will.
Okay. All right, so my next question, we're going to get rolling here so we stay on time, is in the chat box, now that you guys are sort of working with the chat box, how many people in our group want to live a high quality retirement when they age and sort of get to that retirement years? Just type in yes or no.
Yes, we have one no. Yes.
So we should
Couple of yes.
All right, that's good. That's what we like to see. Okay, the next question, my burning question is, who currently is experiencing some aches and pains at home from prolonged sitting at work, at the kitchen table, or at your workstation that's maybe not set up perfectly? Type in yes or no in the chat box.
That's definitely a yes for me, Blair. And then a couple of yes, and then one no.
Okay, good. No. Thanks, Bill. Awesome. Well, we're definitely talking to the right people today then, Bill. That's super. So I'm going to basically, my theme today is how to beat sitting disease during this sort of social isolation period. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is sitting disease. And what is sitting disease? Well, sitting disease is, in layman's terms, when your body's systems start to break down due to lack of mobility. So we have to, our body was built to move. We have to be moving to stay healthy. Now, there's a whole bunch of side effects that occur with lack of mobility, and I'm not going to have time today to get into all the anatomical sort of side effects. I do a sitting disease presentation that's about 1 hour long that talks about all the effects of every different body part. We won't touch on that today, but what I'd like to do is just take sort of 12 highlights from that sort of lecture that I normally do to share with you guys today. So the first one is that basically sitting all day will shorten your life. And when I was a university student, one of the myths I had was I just thought if I worked out really hard for 30 minutes or an hour every night in the gym, that I could sort of basically reduce my sitting disease side effects. The reality is that's a myth. You can't. So just working out frantically in the gym won't change your risk factors. It's moving intermittently during the day that's going to change your risk factors. And one of the things in our society, and one big problem we have today, is that we're sitting too much in both office and in different industries. People are sitting anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a day, which is not very healthy. And they're not standing up. They're not walking intermittently during the day. And poor posture is one of the big things that we deal with as physiotherapists in the office on a frequent basis. So if I just grab this chair, for example, here, and I'll just kind of try to give you a side view. If I'm sitting like this, and we start off our day like this in a nice vertical posture that like Blue's going to talk about in a minute here. But as the day goes on, we tend to lose out to gravity. We get in that sort of forward head carriage posture. Well, that position creates a lot of stress on the neck, the upper back. We get tight in your shoulders. We get weak kind of in the back. We get weak in the front. And it creates kind of a zigzag muscle imbalance sort of within our upper quadrant. Same thing happens, in our lower area as well. And if you're sitting right now in your chair, I want you to kind of tilt yourself forwards and backwards on your chair. And I want you to see if you can get sort of 50-50. So half the weight of your body on the back of your thigh, half on your sit bones. A lot of people, when they sit on a daily basis, will be slouched back like we're on sofas and in vehicles, where 90% of the weight's going through the sit bones, only 10 into the back of the leg. So let's get into that 50-50 posture. Now, once you're in that 50-50 posture, do you feel how active your abdominals are? You're sitting actively now, okay? Now, if you slouch back into that chair, do you feel how your abdominals just turned off? Now, that's why we're all gonna get soft, mushy abdominals because we're not activating if we're sitting like that. So we need to sit actively. So the other thing that happens when you sit for prolonged periods is our hip flexors right here get really tight. So that's the top of our thigh, okay? So they tend to get tight, which puts more pressure on our back. We also run into circulatory issues with our legs. And on top of that, our bones get soft if we're not active. So bones are really an active tissue, and if you're not stimulating and moving around, you're not helping your bones to stay healthy. So there also has been some research that was actually in the 1990s where Dr. Kapanji basically went through, he's like a spinal engineer, and he basically theorized that the head weighs about 12 pounds on average, and every inch your head goes forward into that forward head carriage posture, you add 10 pounds of pressure. So you can take an average size head of about 12 pounds, and if you slouch forwards 4 inches, you've just added 40 pounds of pressure to your lower neck area. Now we're into 50 to 60 pounds of pressure. So if you want to wear your neck out quickly, then just keep slouching. If you want to preserve your neck so it's in good shape when you retire, is make sure you're sitting up nice and straight. So the other big thing that I want you to take away today is that your skeletal muscles can save your brain, your heart, and your organs, okay? And there's this it's an enzyme in our body. It's my favorite enzyme. If I ever got hurt and I couldn't do physical therapy anymore, I'd go back and do research on this enzyme. Because this enzyme basically is called Lipoprotein Lipase. So what it does is when your muscles are pumping and active, it's actually out there grabbing the fat in your bloodstream and it's pulling it in, and it's actually using the muscle like gasoline in an engine, okay? When you're not moving your muscles, the protein lipase levels, enzymes drop right down. So guess what? All that fat in your bloodstream now is going to be deposited in the arteries in your brain, in your heart, and all your major organs, okay? So that's going to put us at high risk for stroke and heart attack. And that sort of leads into my next thing, and I don't want to scare you guys, but here's the stats. So inactivity has become public enemy number 1. So if you sit all day long and you're not moving, you have a 147% increase of heart attack and stroke rate. You'll also have a 112% increase of risk of developing diabetes. You'll have a 49% greater risk of premature mortality rather. So very important to have movement in our lives. The average Canadian spends 50 to 70% of their days sitting, okay? And 30% sleeping. So if you can kind of add those numbers up, we're not moving anymore. So it's very important for us to keep our movement up. Movement is really important for health. And just on a side note, one of the kind of researchers down in the States, he's really big into sitting disease. He did a lecture the other day to listen to, and he said to the people attending, he said, how many people are nutritionists out there? And so they, you know, a couple people put their hands up. He said, I love having this debate about what's more important, nutrition or movement, okay? And so what happened was he basically said, okay, I just want to show you a couple slides. So he shows a slide of a NASA astronaut. And he says, okay, here's an astronaut. He gets the best nutrition science can buy from NASA. But what happens when he comes back down to Earth because he's not moving, because he's lost that gravity? They have really soft bones. They have no muscles. They can barely walk. They literally have to lift them out of their unit. And then they have to start rehabbing their body to get it going again. Another example was he took a person laying in a hospital bed with a severe medical issue that was being fed through a tube intravenously. Again, the best nutrition science can buy, laying there. What happened to that person? They lost all their muscles and their health went down the tube. And then he asked the class again, he said, okay, what's more important, nutrition or movement? So that kind of makes it really obvious that we have to move for our body to function well. And another researcher, Elf Patel, a PhD epidemiologist with the American Cancer Association down in the US, has basically said this, and I'll read the quote directly to you. We need to combine both activity and limit the amount of time you spend sitting. The key is to do little things throughout your day and change your routine, okay? Now, I'm gonna share my top 10 list in regards to how you can reduce your risk for sitting disease, okay? So the first one is if you're at your computer and you're working and you have a printer right here, try not to print and then just grab it and then try to print to another printer if you're in a bigger office, like maybe down the hallway if there's one in the staff room. So it forces you to get up and walk and grab that document. Just a quick side note, a story I had. One of my patients was a lawyer and they were rejigging and kind of calibrating their office. And his assistant was actually at one end of the office and he was down at the other end. So the guy that was the manager of the office said to my client, said, well, hey, do you want us to move that assistant right beside you so you don't have to walk all the way down the hallway back? And he's like, no, please leave her down there. And the guy looked at her like, you crazy? Like, why? And he said, no, I need that to stretch my legs. You know, and I like to go down, stretch my legs, grab my documents, talk to her a little bit, and then I walk back. And I said, well, good for you, because you're reducing your chance of a sitting disease by doing that. And I said, if you can get out of your chair once an hour and walk for 5 minutes, there's going to be a huge benefit to that. And he's like, he didn't even know it at the time, but he said, I just feel better when I get up and walk. So also set an alarm on your phone, on your cell phone, on your computer. So it forces you to get out of your chair every hour. So just have a chime that rings so that you get up and walk around a little bit. Always elect to take the stairs. So if you're going somewhere and there's an elevator and there's stairs, always take the stairs. Ask, if possible, to maybe get a standing desk set up at work or even at home rather than just a sitting desk. Use a ball chair or a sit disc in your office chair so you're sitting actively like we just talked about. Commit to short stretches every hour. So when you do get up and walk around, I'll show you some simple stretches that you can do that will really help your body. Take a walk at lunchtime. So like brown bag, now that the weather's warming up, if you're back to work, take your brown bag to work and just grab one of your colleagues and say, hey, we're gonna go for a walk. We're gonna walk 15 minutes away from the building, 15 minutes back if you have a half an hour lunch break. And I guarantee that will make you feel better in the afternoon and prevent you from getting what they call that brain fog, where your brain slows down. And the reason why it slows down is there's not enough blood flowing through the brain because you've been sitting all day. And then washrooms. If you have a washroom right beside you and you have one down the hallway, again, go to the one down the hallway so you stretch your legs if you can. Stand while you take phone calls. There's this interesting tip with this. So those of you that are really time poor, and I do this now, when somebody calls me, I actually stand up and talk to them, because when you stand, you're more intentional with your conversation and the conversation will go a little quicker. If you sit, you tend to be kind of in that brain fog and kind of not really thinking clearly, and you'll tend to have a longer conversation. So just try that tip at home and at work. And then the active office stretches, which we're going to go through in just a couple minutes. We'll go through those and be doing those on a daily basis. So that's my top 10. So our overall goal is basically to reduce our set at entry time if we can. So our conclusion kind of to the whole sitting disease and what's been proven in research is that we cannot exercise our way out of this real health crisis, which is the set at entry behavior of the sitting disease. We need to reintroduce a small dose of activity into our lives intermittently throughout the day. And we need to think of this not as an inconvenience, but a few steps to better, longer health, okay? And what's really interesting, when I first got passionate about sitting disease about 10 years ago, the research showed that the only way you would get a benefit from sitting disease is when you're actually walking, okay? And so now they've actually proven that they've done, blood tests and biopsies of muscles and things like that for people that stand. And so they've now discovered that standing does actually help reduce your risk of sitting disease. And so you can actually burn up over 300 calories an hour while at your standing workstation. And why is that? It's because you're not standing statically. If you're like me, I can't stand still. I need to be walking and moving. And as you're doing that, all your postural muscles are firing, your nerves are firing. So your metabolism is revving up because you're moving instead of just sitting and everything kind of getting turned off, okay? Now, there is a few tips on that too in regards to standing. You know, in the perfect world, we sit for half an hour, stand for half an hour. So there's some PhD kinesiologists that are saying if you enjoy the standing, you can stand up for 45 minutes per hour. But they are still recommending that you do sit for 15 of that 60-minute cycle, just so you can offload your feet. Because with prolonged standing all day long, there is some bad side effects to that as far as creating orthopedic aches and pains in your feet and things like that. So it's okay to take little breaks for sitting. So what's really neat is that the sitting disease is something that relates to what I'm really passionate about. And people are saying to me, why are you so passionate about this, Blair? You're a physiotherapist. So how it relates is our profession is really passionate about movement and keeping people moving. So if you're sedentary due to pain, stiffness, you know, any discomfort, then you want to seek help to get healthier if you can. And our assessment basically identifies the muscle imbalances that occur in your upper quadrant and your lower quadrant. And with our virtual treatments, we're doing a great job right now in basically getting people moving and stretching and taking some pressure off those body parts. What I'd like to do now is just quickly demonstrate some stretches for you. So this will be your take home for today. So the stretches we're going to go through are really simple. So everybody at home, just get out of your chair now. You've already sat for about 20 minutes. We're going to do a hip flexor stretch. So when we're sitting, our legs are bent, our hips are bent to 90 degrees, so that hip flexor is in a shortened position. So I'm going to teach you how to lengthen that out. So you stand up and you get into a long stride stance. Let me go back up just a little bit here. So 1 foot forward, 1 back, and then you're going to sort of bend both knees so the back heel comes off the floor. Thanks, Louis. And you're going to pelvic tilt. So as you pelvic tilt, you should feel a bit of a stretch in the front of that hip, okay? So think of your pelvis as a bowl, and you're going to dump that bowl backwards. As you feel that stretch, just lunge forwards 2 inches, okay? And then squeeze that cheek. In fact, take your thumb, stick your thumb into that cheek to make sure it's contracting. Drive that opposite arm up so you're into a straight position. And then hold that for 20 or 30 seconds. You'll get a nice strong stretch in the front of that hip flexor, okay? So that's what shortens up during those sitting hours. So I'm going to grab a chair here, and I'll show you 3 movements that are really going to be beneficial. And the big load from sitting in front of the computer all day long really starts to occur in our upper back, and our upper back gets really stiff. So how to avoid that stiffness and those aches and pains is you're going to sit in your chair now, take your hands, I want you to interlace your fingertips behind your head, okay? And you're very gently now in that nice upright posture. In fact, pull your blades and elbows back just a little bit. Rotate as far as you can to your right and then to your left. Good job, Belle. She's doing these stretches. That's good job. And then same way. And try to hold there for about 3 seconds and then go the other way. Hold there for about 3 seconds, okay? And then do each one about 3 times if you can. And then side bend is just a hand on the top of the pelvis, and you're just going to kind of tilt to the side. And you should feel a strong stretch in your triceps, your shoulder, and even down the side of your trunk. And really hold that. And you can take a breath in, and then breathe out and go further as you breathe out. Really get that side stretch. And then try the other way. Now, when you're doing this, I want you to think of an axis through your chest. So the axis of movement is up here, not way down here, okay? Because we want to stretch that upper back. So really think of that axis there and kind of tilt over if you can. And again, big breath, and then out. Go even further. Really get that nice strong stretch through that area there, okay? Again, do that one 3 times if you can. And then the last one is what I call the sky reach. So we're just going to sit you up here from the side. Chest up, shoulders out, and you're going to take a big breath in and reach up as far as you can. There you go, and then breathe out. Take a second breath in, reach up 2 more inches. And breathe out. So the arms come down on the second breath out. So the breathing really opens up your rib cage and gets those intercostal stretching and really helps reset that posture. So don't be afraid to do that sky reach one. That's a really good one to kind of reset your posture. So do that one at least 5 times if you can. All right? So that's the stretches for today, and you'll get some more information on those later, but I'm going to stop there for now, and I'm going to hand the floor over to Louis now. So go ahead, Louis. It's all yours.
I'm not sure how you're going to hand the floor to me, but pick it up, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we're going to share some things. Don't leave yet, because you talked about a lot of things there, and I think we're very much in common on many of the things. Our Fitter First has been leading the world of better balance since 1985, as we chatted briefly about. I'm going to jump around a little bit because you talked about some things. Yeah. The astronaut, it's a very interesting subject matter. The G Connection is a book we have by a friend of ours, Joan Vernakis, and she has been rehabbing astronauts for 40 years, and a very fascinating problem. Living in a world without gravity is awesome because you don't weigh anything and you don't need your muscles, except for you die quite quickly is the one problem. Your body falls apart, your joints fall apart, your muscles and discs all fall apart. And when you come back to Earth, as David St. Jacques discovered, after 6 months, it's very hard to be alive. And even the eyeballs change the shape. So we talk about having a space station on the moon in 2024. Well, there's a real problem with that. We're working with the young lady who's 84 years young, who wrote this book. We have a centrifuge in our back room here. You haven't seen it yet, but it's quite exciting. And that's working to supplement gravity, ironically. Everything we've done in life so far on Earth has always been at 1G. And now there's some science showing about increasing gravity or decreasing gravity to change the way our muscles work. That's the future. But as we all know with COVID, we're actually looking a lot of ways into the future already. One of the things that's not about the future is that gravity, as most of us know it today, will stay around 1G in most of our lives. And time will continue to click roughly at 24 hours a day. And we're all playing with that same field. So much like brushing your teeth or wearing a seatbelt in the car, we never used to do that. I never used to wear a seatbelt. It's something we've learned that we do as a habit. And everything we've talked about here so far today is maintaining good posture and working with time and gravity is just a daily habit you have to live by. Fitter has built its laurels, its foundation, all our products on helping people learn to do it easily and incorporating balance and stability and what we call is S.A.M. It's practicing stability in your daily living so you have better agility at play and better mobility for life. We have this little man named Sam. You can see him there waving. He's very, very important because this is what happens. We want to be this guy, but if you sit all day, you end up like this guy and you get broken. Either you're in the rehab clinic or you get broken trying to be this guy on the weekend, and it just simply doesn't work. So what we're trying to help folks do with our active office environment, stand sit desks like this one. This is a Barrett desk that goes up and down. So you get the posture correct for your body. Or we have electric desks as well that go up and down. For kids, they can work sitting at them. Or this one can go up to a nice height. For myself, it's 6'4". For Blair, it's 6'5", 6'6". I can have an environment that's high enough for me to work so that even standing, I want to have something higher. I spend a lot of my day walking around. I do text a little bit. I have my monitor at a height that my eyes are looking straight ahead, and my keyboard is down at my wrist level at a relaxed state. I tell people all the time one of the key things to remember is elbows to eyeballs. And where my elbows are is where my keyboard needs to be, and where my eyeballs are when I'm sitting with good posture is where my monitor needs to be. And the challenge with a lot of folks, especially that are working at home right now, is they say, well, I just use a laptop. The challenge is that means the keyboard is going to be somewhere like this, and the monitor is going to be down here. So I'm going to be like this, kind of like a monkey looking, working, and then I'm going to stand up, and I'm tall, so I'm going to hit my head. Then I'm going to walk up, and I'm going to see Belle, and go, hi, Belle, how are you? And I'm going to look, and I'm going to be getting head forward, and I'm going to spend my whole day head forward because I'm tall. Then I'm going to hit my head again, and I'm going to develop a habit of looking forward and letting gravity win. We heard Blair talk about having your head forward and weighing, what, 8 pounds?
Yeah, so normally it's 12 pounds.
12
and for every
pounds.
inch forward, you add another 10 pounds.
Yeah, so if my head's out of my shoulders, I'm going to lose really quickly. I have neck problems. I'm going to be in rehab, and I'm going to age much more gracefully. So smaller people, on the other hand, tend to often have their head back. They tend to be very tight in the shoulders, and they need to be mindful about their head posture and not, they spend a lot of time back like this and often doing this with their shoulders because their keyboard's too high for them, because their desk isn't low enough for them, or their chair's too high and they're perched on the front edge of it. So what I'm pointing out is the elbows to eyeballs changes for every person. That's just a habit you need to understand what's right for you and make sure your work environment is set up in the fashion that when you get your monitor and your keyboard set up, this is a little low for me, so I'll just cheat by going down. But I can look at my monitor and my eyes are focusing between the middle of the monitor and the top, and then my shoulders in a relaxed state are reaching out with straight wrists so I don't get carpal tunnel, and I can work with my keyboard properly, whether I'm sitting or standing. That's one important tip, and it's each person's environment is going to be different. And then in a chair, whether it's a ball chair, a perching chair, this is a Barrett chair perch. See, it's a chair that goes up and down. When I sit on it, you won't quite see this, but that's right. You can see the chair moves under my trunk. So whether I have it in a higher position, I'm going to be working the desk, or in a lower sitting position, or in a second, I'll show you something very interesting. I love these little $250 perch chairs. So I could be sitting at my computer resting. So we talked about sitting or standing. We actually, through the books that were written through Joan from Nassau, she recommends standing every 30 minutes, not to contradict you, but she's worked with this for 40 years. And in rehabbing the astronauts, she wrote Designed to Move and Sitting Kills and Moving Heals. And in both books, she talks about her active office boards and these perch chairs. Her conclusion was that when she's rehabbing the astronauts, there's nothing more useful than having them work with gravity. It's better than anything else she could do. And she found having them stand up every 30 minutes, do all the breathing exercises like you mentioned, and most importantly, to stand up and just spend 1 minute, and she called it recalibrating. So do exactly what you said, but stand up and simply breathe with excellent posture and let your body recalibrate, because all the organs decompress, blood pressure goes down, so the heart rate goes up and pushes blood back to the brain because you've just decompressed all the organs. The proprioceptive system has to kick in and deal with the upright spinal adjustment. The feet, all the proprioceptors in the feet and everything have to recalibrate to the upright position, and the eyes and ears recalibrate because you've changed the body's posture. And then once you've spent a minute just sort of recalibrating, then go for a walk. But people that sit for more than 30 minutes start to pay a longer price and get damaged. And so, like we said, set an alarm, get up for sure every hour, but even better every 30 minutes. I personally have a perch chair at my stand-sit desk in my office. One of the things I do a lot of is I'll actually put my leg up on it, and while I'm standing, I'll use the chair to stretch my leg out. I do both legs, right? So I'm standing there working and actually stretching out my core a little bit, doing some of the other activities you talked about. That's great. So the perch can be used for sitting, standing, and I have a regular chair too, so I do mix it up. It's the journey. There's not really a destination of just, I'm going to stand and stand like a soldier all day. As you said, you'll hurt your body. You'll see we have some mats here on the ground. I just want to comment towards the mats too. We're the distributor for Veridesk in Canada. They have this mat, it's called an active mat. It's got a place. I'm not a huge fan for the simple reason that you have to find a place to move your feet. So yes, it lets you change your posture a little bit. The fact is, you kind of have to also change your stance, and if you're working on it, other than kind of doing this kind of stance, if your keyboard and monitor here, it forces you to move your body away from the center of your desk. On an anti-fatigue mat like this, it's a little bit softer, you can be working, but what it kind of does is promote standing still for longer. And I find that standing still for longer is a bit of a problem. So what I wanted to show you is, I used to use a wobble board at my desk all the time, a simple balance board. And what I found about it, it was nice, but it was a bit of distraction. The challenge with it was, I'd stand like a duck all the time because I want my heels in the middle.
Yeah.
I found that if I stood too wide, sorry, my head's cut off right here, folks, I apologize. Part of the problem being tall, see? But you have feet or head, so I'll squat down a bit. But when I stood like this, I got too much upper body disruption, and I would be working and I would disrupt my brain.
Yeah.
So I found I would stand with my feet like this, like a duck.
Yeah.
And it was okay because I got some movement.
Yeah.
But it was just distracting, right? And so if I was doing numbers or a spreadsheet, I found it started to bug me. So what we ended up doing is we actually developed this product called an active office board. You can change the legs any way you want, precisely to what you talked about. This creates micro movements that if you think of a human being, if you give a person a baby, you don't want to tell a person what to do.
Yeah.
If I hand any human a baby, they move their hips. We've done it for 20,000 years. It's human nature, so no instructions required. This board ebbs and flows underfoot. I wanted to make you stand up when you're presenting, so you would naturally have got it. Yeah. And so when you're working on it, it doesn't distract you. It gives you the micro movements, good spinal alignment. You can change the legs any way you want and make it harder or easier. So we make this here in Calgary. It's our own product. It's called an AOB, an active office board. And other than being really tall, it would make you a little bit taller. Yeah. But you can just change the legs and make it harder or easier. But it's not distracting. So it gives more movement than an active board mat or a anti-fatigue mat, and it's a little bit different. The other thing you can do with it too is you can put your feet up on it and stretch out your heels, so you get a little bit of stretch on it too, right? Nice. So next time we'll have you standing on the There you go. So those are a couple ideas. And on the sitting side, we talked about the perching and the moving chairs. We do offer these are all things we make here at Fitter First or we carry. This is our ball chair. It's got adjustable legs. Again, not quite as dynamic as some of them, but it gives you some trunk movement. And then we also offer something called the core chair. It's made of a gentleman named Patrick in Toronto designed the core chair. This is a small one. It's too small for me, but the whole chair actually tips and moves.
Wow, that's great.
And it's got a support on the back here that, so again, this is a lower version.
Yeah.
It'll be way too small for you, but see how it moves?
Yeah.
And this has like a clap so you can change how much movement it has.
Oh, neat.
And it does go up and down, so you
Yeah.
can change it for different heights of people.
Yeah.
And notice the contour seating, so if you
Yeah.
have a tailbone injury,
Ah,
it's got a
nice.
protected cutout
Decompresses
there.
it. Okay.
And the way this, it's spring-loaded on the other side, this
Yeah.
moves, so you can get support of the lower
Yeah.
lumbar. I
Nice.
prefer the seats personally that are tilted forward, so you don't need to have that lumbar support.
Yeah.
Another Canadian product called Spike. How do you feel that? It's an awesome product for sitting on. It creates a like vela, it moves. I sit on that in my car, I love it. And they also have standing ones that can go on your, and it's more for bigger people. This can go on the active office board.
Yeah.
It's awesome. This is another sitting product that's called Backjoy. It tips the pelvic girdle into a neutral position that you had spoken about.
Yeah.
Kind of like having a forward tilting chair. I used
Yeah.
to do it on airplanes. You scooch back and it actually tips the pelvic girdle, because often we shove a lumbar behind the
Yeah.
lumbar spine. The pelvic girdle still slouched back
Yeah.
in tilted back chair.
Right.
And then you're getting a fight going on where with
Yeah.
this, it actually works at the point, so it's source
Yeah.
or symptom.
Yeah.
You want to get to the source of the problem, not
Right.
where it hurts, which
Yeah.
is in here. And because I got this in my pocket, I can't do it, but I sit cross-legged on the floor on this thing and
Yeah.
it pivots and moves. You can get your core stretch. I
Oh, neat.
travel with it extensively.
Yeah.
And then this little cushion here is something we make. It was made for it's a camping product basically.
Yeah.
It can be self-inflated, blown up to a bolster like a yoga bolster,
Okay.
or you can open it and squish all the air out of it, put your sleeve or your briefcase, but
Oh,
it's used
nice.
on an airplane as a pillow
Yeah.
or as an active sitting cushion.
Yeah.
And it moves quite nicely, so it's comfortable to sit on, right?
Yeah.
So these are products that we've designed that many years of traveling I found very useful for using on an airplane or to promote active sitting, which you talked about. So if you need to sit, you can still sit actively. You don't get the same dynamic movement that you would standing. And the beauty of a stand-sit desk is not to stand all day, but gives you better access to frequent movement.
Right.
So it's, it's not that standing is the solution.
Right.
It gives you better access to movement. Movement is the solution, right? We all kind of agree to that point. And then if you are standing, these are little type of stimulus foot rollers. We make this one here in Calgary. This is one we bring in, but things that you could roll your foot on, and if you're sitting, you can use them as well. And one other thing I just want to touch on that's important, if you do need to sit a lot, the QE is a really cool little item that goes under your desk that has been very popular, especially now with COVID, that anyone can use sitting in a chair, especially for folks and seniors that are sitting on a couch or chair. They can get forward and back exercises. Not a lot of exercise.
Blair, can you tilt the camera so we can see?
Sorry.
There you go.
I see it now?
Oh,
Let us know if you can't see
Forward
it.
and back. It's got 8 load resistant settings. It's not hard exercise, but for someone who can't get much, who's stuck sitting a lot on the couch or at an office desk, and I apologize for the ergonomics of my setup here. It's
Yeah.
not quite correct.
Yeah.
But notice, my knees are not going up and down.
Yeah.
You can put this in front of a wheelchair or
Yeah.
in front of a senior, or someone who's at a couch watching TV or at a desk.
Yeah.
It's a pretty awesome little product, and it's
good.
quiet.
Yeah.
You get not a ton of exercise, but compared to none,
Yeah.
it's enough.
It's better than nothing for sure.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
So Fitter has quite a unique selection.
Yeah.
I just touched on it. We have much, much more than this. And we're really, my slogan, one of it is balance is the essence of movement, and movement is the essence of life. And we really just try hard to help people find the right solution for them. We don't have every answer, but we want to help people find the thing that will work for them because, I heard people say, oh, hey, buy this, it fits under the bed. Never buy it if it fits under the bed unless it's a dust collection device. You need things that go where you spend your time, especially today we're stuck in our homes. If it doesn't go either by your computer, by your phone, by your kitchen, or in your TV room, and you're not going to use it kind of every day and be part of your living and part of your life, or help your family be better and fit into your daily routine, then what's the point? We don't need things that don't work well and don't help us get better frequently, all day, every day, in my personal opinion, right?
Yeah.
The last thing I just want to touch on before we kind of open the floor, there's a little cards that are active office side. Oh, sorry. We offer a lot of flat banding products. This has been one of the more popular things we've had around. Exercise banding. Our little guy, I think I covered before, named S.A.M, for active living. Keeping busy for sports and families. We do have these complimentary little cards for, sorry, it's a bit glary, but active office and exercises that you can do at home it's a laminated card that shows how to use a chair and a ball and a piece of flat banding, much what we talked about earlier. Little exercises you can do. So when people do business with us, we give this little gift pack out to them to help them, get more exercise at home and have exercise things they can do at their desk.
Yeah.
So our showroom's closed. We have curbside pickup, and we have a catalog we can send out to folks. And of course, through your facility, you guys know who we are. And we're just happy to assist as a Calgary-based family company for 35 years. We work with lots of physical therapy clinics, and we're the product specialists. You guys are the experts to keep people healthy or get them healthy.
Yeah.
We like to help keep them healthy.
Awesome. Well, that was really good. Well, thank you very much, Louis. That was really exciting to sort of watch and see all those different products. I love the fact that this ball chair is actually height adjustable, because I know that was always an issue with me being 6'5". Some of the balls, if they weren't inflated to the top, they wouldn't work for me. I love this stand one here as well. I'm going to just try it out right now, just to...
I was going to interrupt you and make you stand on it, but
like this would be perfect for me, because you probably saw as I was lecturing that I tend to just kind of do that anyway. And like Louis said, it's almost like being part of it, being a parent. It gets drilled into you, and if you're, holding onto your child. But no, I love that. That's awesome. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to stay on here because this does feel great. Actually, it's very therapeutic. So, Bill, we're going to go to our Q&A. Do you have any questions in the Q&A?
Let me check. I do have a question. Can I start with a question for you, Blair? I've always been meaning to ask you this. What are the key muscles to lengthen after prolonged sitting? Because I've been sitting for longer hours now since I started the work from home. And
Okay, so when we sit, our hips are basically at 90 degrees hip flexion. Okay, so our hip flexors are tight and our hamstrings are tight. The other thing is we tend to get slouched over the computer, so our pecs get tight and our lats get tight on the side. So that's what kind of internally rotates and rounds up our shoulders. So the sky stretch was the one that would address your lats, okay? And the one we haven't talked about yet is the doorway stretch. So that's what's going to open up your chest. So you can just even sitting in a chair, just sit up nice and tall and just gently pull your shoulder blades back, and you'll feel a stretch in your chest. And then take a big breath, inflate those ribs, and then blow out. And as you blow out, go back a bit further. Or go on the door frame on your office and actually put your forearms right up on the door frame. Just lean through. And that would really open up that chest and get that upright posture that Louis was just talking about.
That works great.
Yeah. So it's the sky stretch for the up back, basically. Your pec stretch for your chest, and then your hip flexor for the front of your hip. Okay, and then for your hamstrings, it depends how your back is. So I treat a lot of people with previous back injuries. So the traditional hamstring stretch would be putting one foot up on a chair. A lot of people would lock their knee and reach their toes and hurt their back. So I usually advocate bend the knee first, take the trunk to the knee, hang on to the lower leg, and just slowly straighten the knee out. So you get a nice strong stretch in the back of your thigh. Or if you've got back pain, the modification is actually lay down on the floor and just simply straighten your leg out like that, and you'll get a strong stretch in the back of your hamstring. And that way you're not loading your back. So those are the kind of the 4 key muscles that tend to tighten from prolonged sitting. So great question.
Mine's actually tight.
Other questions coming in?
I can't. There's nothing yet. But guys, you can ask your questions now. Our Q&A is open.
We're waiting for a few more questions. I'll ask Louis some questions. I've got some questions for him. Just like I always like to drill my co-presenters. So you talked about a lot of products today, Louis. So what are your products that would help reduce the risk of sitting disease? It's almost like all of the above, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like all of your products do.
What we like to, yes, they do. I mean, the way I look at it, and it's learned to be, it's really kind of 3 components of this. You've got sitting, options are sitting, standing, and with perching. Those are, as I'm perching right now, right? And I think it's really important to understand that you're at a computer, which most of us are now.
Yeah.
It's usually an 6 to 10 hour day.
Yeah.
And we know some IT people that say, I have to sit 8 hours a day. And when I hear that, or I've actually, had people say, I have to work on a laptop. But that's like saying I have to drive without a seatbelt. Like, no, whoever told you that's very wrong. You have an option. You can get an extended keyboard and put your laptop on a box and get this fixed. You have an option here. You don't have to work on it. Fix that. And I have to say this, that I feel like one of the biggest mistakes society makes today is we teach children from grade 1 to grade 12 to work with poor posture on a laptop, and then we set them free in the world and say, don't do that. I'm like, what are we doing here? So really, I think some of our problems are embedded in our habits as a race, raising your children. We're setting bad habits up and then telling them, you got to fix that thing. I see a future opportunity. But all the products we offer that are applicable to offices will enhance the work environment. Obviously, a bongo board or a high-end balance board is not appropriate. So the vast majority of them will work to some degree depending on what you do. Again, back to fitting the product for the person and the environment, right? If someone feels it's very important, like we have lawyers come in and go, my image is everything. I have a big brown desk, and I have a big chair, and I have big hourly fees. I can't have that on my desk. I can't stand up. I have an image. I go, well, then you're not going to sit on a cushion, and you're not going to have a standing chair. The lawyer I actually work with finally put a bare desk behind him. And he's got 2 computers. So when a client comes in, he's going to bill $1,000 an hour. He looks at the client, he sits in his chair, and he won't stand up. When there's one there, he stands up. I got that far, right? So, it's interesting, but having something on the chair that allows some kind of trunk movement, if you're going to sit a lot, and then having quick access to standing, like you said, with phone rings, stand up. And so anything we can do to get people doing what you're doing, moving, the more they stand, is very important. And just standing with locked out knees and not moving is a problem. And I guess based on the environment, helping them understand, get the concept of access to movement. And obviously a hygienist has a problem. They're sterile. The ball chair that you commented on actually originated with hygienists that couldn't use a lot of the products that we sold because they couldn't touch the chair and they had to move around. So they could sit on a ball chair with wheels and get around the patient and have trunk movement and not lose their sterility in their hands, right? So that was sort of how that sort of came to be, right? That was the first sources we saw of that product. But what I would tell people to answer your question, if you want some kind of dynamic movements when you are sitting, and if you're going to stand a lot, don't stand lock-kneed on a hard surface for the reasons, again, you've touched on all the things, and so you have to solve those various problems depending on how you approach your day. Does that answer your question?
No, that's great, So it really is specific to your environment that you're looking to change and supplement. So my other question for you is, what's your favorite product? Of all the products over the years that you put together, and Louis had quite a journey of, was it 35 years now?
Yeah, I started in 1985 because of knee surgeries.
And he listens to the rehab industry and he loves to get feedback from them, and that's how he's developed and even made these products better than before. So
I've been to 1,100 shows, literally worldwide, from Saudi Arabia to South America to Japan. Obviously all over North America. My last one I did is in Denver with 18,000 physical therapists in February. And I will be honest, I look at the pictures. I was on a conference call this morning with a bunch of business owners and I showed them the pictures. You saw me do that. And everyone looked at that and went, oh my God. It was shocking because to see the density of people around this wall banner in February, like 8 weeks ago. In today's world, it's like you look at it, you cringe. It's like, that's hard to believe. What planet was that on? If that was 8 weeks ago in our world. I know. So anyways, it's just weird.
It is a different world now.
I'm going to answer the question. Again, it always varies, but it kind of comes down. One of my favorites is our soft board. I found it in Germany. It's a medium advanced blue. It's like a paddleboard training product for general exercise and home fitness for families. It's called the Soft Board Advanced. Maybe I could ask Allison, if he's so kind to hand me the Soft Board Advanced. And then the second one I'm going to ask him to grab me is a body blade because Bruce Hymanson developed the body blade classic. And I'll briefly tell you why. Can you grab your body like faster?
Yep.
This is like a wobble board, but it floats like you're on air. And maybe just get a little tip. You ask the questions, you get the answer, right?
There we go.
So this thing is like a wobble board, but you can see how it pivots. Thank you. And I feel like I'm floating. I'm not an avid paddleboarder, but you can put your arms out and do
Core.
Yeah. It doesn't damage floors at all. It's not like a wobble board the way it moves.
Yeah.
It's hard to do one leg balancing, but it's quite awesome to do it. And it never stays still.
Wow.
Kids will play on it.
Yeah.
It became my go-to gift for weddings.
Oh, nice.
Whether it's old people or young people, it's a wedding gift. They say it's the funnest thing. It doesn't wreck our floors. The kids play on it.
Yeah.
Mom loves to exercise with it.
Yeah. And
it's quite light. So it's called a soft board advance. They fit it first. And then the other one is called a body blade. So if you want to just get that back up. We have this at home. It's a neuromuscular product, but you can shake it, go through range of motion. You're always getting co-contraction of the muscle joints.
Yeah.
You get all the stabilizers going. If you go across center line, everything's jiggling and stabilizing.
Yeah.
When I ski racing, I use this thing like crazy I get down into a tuck and work on it.
Oh, nice.
And you can just go through any range. You can use it at your desk. I've got friends who've been top of Everest.
Yeah.
Andy Evans.
Yeah.
He has one at his desk because he tore his shoulder.
Yeah.
It's the best shoulder rehab product ever. And if you have muscle problems, you'll find out where you're weak because you can't keep it going.
Right.
Yeah. The harder you shake, the more energy you exert.
Yeah.
It always goes at 2.7 oscillations per second, no matter how much energy.
Yeah.
So if you go real gentle, 2.7 oscillations, always getting co-contractions. If I was doing like dumbbell curls, I'm still getting tricep, bicep fires.
Yeah.
And no matter where you take it, you're always getting core stabilization. And the whole body's engaged. So they never wear out. They weigh nothing. They sit in the corner out of the way.
Yeah.
We have a couple in our basement. My wife almost uses it every day.
Yeah.
I'll use it with the Pro Fitter.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's kind of a forever product. I believe this was like $120 or $140.
Yeah.
And so to answer the question, it's not so much of a leg product, but you'll get into
lunging stance.
Lunging stances and go through patterns.
Yeah.
So you literally go through patterns with it, and you do stuff like this. This is going to be pretty challenging.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's pretty versatile.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Well, we use these in the clinic a lot. Anybody that comes in for shoulder rehab, but you could definitely use it for more than just shoulder rehab as well.
And anyone can use it. It's a super versatile product. That, a ball board, or any kind of balancing, like something underfoot, something for the hand, and a fitness ball, and maybe a foam roller to roll out. If you have those four things, and maybe a piece of banding or a tube, you're not going to go a beautiful home gym without a lot of money invested.
Exactly. So it doesn't take a lot to get creative and get really good for exercise.
No, and if you have those things, and not that we don't need the care of physical therapists for guidance, but you can really get a pretty good base level of health and not spend a lot of money on it, and not having to have a big, huge gym.
We do
stay
encourage
functional.
And rehab patients to buy products and continue with those exercises at home as well. And that's one, like you said, that never wears out. So
and you can actually make it fun.
Yeah.
Literally, it is kind of fun because as you kind of play around with it, you find these places where you kind of feel like, okay, I thought I was doing pretty good. Like, look at this. I can't do anything here. So I'm out doing an activity. And my arm gets over here for some reason. This is probably where I'm prone to injury because I certainly have no motor control over there. So we have to tell patients that you're put in a sling if you have a dislocated shoulder for 3 weeks, and then you kind of lose all those fast twitch functions in your arm. So that blade can really wake those fast twitch functional muscles and nerves back up again. Is there any other questions, Belle?
No, actually, I don't see anything.
Maybe just close the Q&A for now then. And then if you want, did you want to maybe just open it up so people, if they can't type, they can sort of ask a question? Last webinar we didn't have many Q&As. We opened up the panel and then we had tons of questions. So just want to make sure if somebody's not very good at typing, they can ask a question if they want. Maybe while they're doing that, I'm going to just kind of make a quick point here. And I always say to patients, procrastination is the thief of health. So if you are experiencing any pain, discomfort or stiffness, that's limiting your mobility, that's what a physio does in my mind. We reactivate people and restore their function to reduce your chance of getting a city disease. And Louis is an expert on all the products that you can incorporate.
This has a question.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi, you can ask your
Hi.
question now.
Okay. I typed these in, so I don't see why, I don't know why you didn't get them.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't receive anything.
Okay, the first question is on breathing. Are there some breathing exercises that would help for posture and versus the sitting disease?
Did you get that, Blair? Breathing.
Yeah. So I'm going to make one comment, then I'd like Louis to comment on this as well. The question was, so everyone else can hear it as well, was the person wanted to know about breathing and what's good for posture. So I'll just make one quick comment. For those of us that are experiencing stress, and it is a stressful time right now, one thing I've learned over the years, I can't remember who taught me this, but you want to breathe in through your nose over a 7-second cycle. Hold that breath in if you can for about 7 seconds, then slowly release it out your mouth over a 7-second period. If you do that 3 times, you will actually slow down your whole physiology, and you'll get kind of a calming effect from that. So if you feel like you're kind of amped up and you're stressed and feel like your heart's racing or you're stressed out, just take a moment, try that little sort of breathing technique as an exercise to kind of slow you down. The other thing is do it in good posture. And I'll let Louis kind of maybe chirp in on this comment in regards to that question as well. What would you say to that?
Yeah, interesting. I hate to say it through practical experience. I had a severe breathing disorder. I had very severe sleep apnea, and I had the 10.5-hour surgery 3 years ago. So I needed a full facial reconstruction. My nose never worked. So my entire life, I could virtually never breathe through my nose.
Wow.
I can breathe through my nose now. It's quite a shocking experience. It's only been 2.5 years, and I cannot do what you just said. I can breathe in for 7 seconds through my nose. I cannot hold my breath for 7 seconds, but I can do it maybe 3 or 4, and I agree breathing out through my throat. So I mean, I had to literally learn to breathe again, and I was a World Cup athlete, but I chose 2 sports. Get this, luge. You virtually hold your breath, and speed skiing. It's 20 seconds, and if you breathe out, your helmet fogs up. So the two sports I picked, who knew? It wasn't as smart. These are ones I could do. You virtually hold your breath and do them.
Wow.
So I do agree the deep breathing into your nose and 7 seconds of holding my breath without breathing out sounds crazy to me, but 2 or 3 seconds even helps. And relaxing out through the mouth is very nice to do. Always good posture for sure. And it does control. I used to have severe hyperventilation problems, and learning to control your breath is everything. So I put a lot of thought into breathing because I was losing the ability to breathe and the ability to eat. And they said to me, those are very important things. You probably want to get that under control.
Yes.
And I thought about it. That's probably good advice. So I like your advice.
Well, that's great. Super duper. What's the next question, Bill?
Okay. My second question is about standing for long periods. I had been in Army for a few years, and when we were on parade, we would sometimes have to stand still for a long time, and it might be in the hot sun, that kind of thing. And so what we were taught was to tip kind of imperceptibly back and forth on the balls of our feet to help keep the blood flowing. And I was wondering about if you had some comments about that.
I can. Well, I'll weigh in first on this one. Yes, certainly. Those are called micro movements. Getting the vascular pumps of the calf and the dorsiflexor muscles of the leg muscles going is very, very important.
So forward and back.
We're actually working on, well, the QB that you saw me working on earlier, I stopped here. That in fact is exactly what it does. It gets the pumps, vascular pumps in the calf muscles going. And I'm working with a vascular surgeon in Washington, D.C. right now, and another very simple product that does the same thing for air travel. I was very humored to learn from Joan Bernakis from Nassau, who wrote those 3 books I talked about earlier, that she explained to us, well, 2 things actually fascinating. Giraffes have very interesting, you think about this, she explained why giraffes don't pass out when they're eating, because their head goes from the ground up to 16 feet in the air, and in principle they should pass out because of it. But they actually have vascular pumps in their legs and their skin that pumps aggressively to keep the blood flowing to their heads. And she brought that up. She then explained to us, and this is a wonderful 84-year-old gal who works with gravity, that the way the British Guards, who I always said the worst job in the world, the British Guard at Buckingham Palace, can't move for 4 hours. And well, what you explained, they learned to stand there, and they learned to do very active vascular pumping of the calf muscles. Wow. So they don't even do what you did, where you tip forward and back to do those micro movements. You don't see any movement in these guys. Yeah. They actually just learned to do vascular pumping of the calf muscles. Wow. And that's how they stay for 4 hours. So what you are doing is very wise and correct, and I don't have anything more to add to it. I think you had the right answer, but you might have some more comment on it, more educated comment.
Yeah, no, I think that was great. So the comment of to keep your body moving, I think, is really important, because if we're statically loading, we're not going to get that muscle pump. And venous return is based on muscle activity. So your venous return will be better if muscles are pumping around it, because your veins are basically a long chain or pipe with one-way valves in it. And it's the muscles squishing and contracting around those veins that actually helps pump up the deoxygenated blood. So that's why it's important to still keep your body moving. So great question. Yeah. Was there another question?
Yes. I have another question. You've been talking about sitting in your office and at your home, and I was just thinking, well, that happens to me as well if I'm just sitting driving for long periods.
Yep.
And so how to deal with long drives where you're just sitting at the steering wheel. So what would you suggest for that?
Great question, actually. So when I have patients that are driving, say, from Calgary to Edmonton, I always tell them, you need to take little breaks along the way. And so it could be that they get out every hour, and I usually tell them, walk 100 yards away from your vehicle, walk 100 yards back. If there's this chronic back pain, I'm telling them, stimulate your back by doing some movements and just kind of getting the spinal joints going. And actually, when you're walking, swing your arms like you're marching, like a purposeful walk, really get the blood pumping into your shoulder girdle and upper back as well. And I usually say stop in Red Deer and stop for a coffee or whatever. Get out and have a pee break if you need it. But yeah, to sit and drive for prolonged periods is, again, not healthy. So you feel sorry for the long haul truck drivers, because they're kind of on a time schedule, and they do sit for prolonged periods. But Louis, do you have some activities for people that sit? I mean, we could sit actively, and there's probably some products for drivers.
I potentially have broken a few laws. It's possible. I've done that I would recommend, and some I wouldn't. But anyways, the sitting cushions are an option. I have proven the ones that are unsafe for sure that I don't recommend, like the the sit discs don't work because they have air bellows, and when you have to rapidly swerve to miss something, your pelvic girdle shifts too much and you potentially lose control of your vehicle. So the ones that are full of air, our little proactive discs is one of the ones I showed. You can let the air out of this one enough that when you're sitting on it, you're just barely floating, and any turning, you get sit bone contact on one side or the other right away. There's too much air on it, there's so much movement, it's not a very good idea. This kind of product, when you're sitting on it, at least you get some movement, and airflow and neuromuscular stimulation. So, it doesn't mean you can drive for 3 or 4 hours, well, you shouldn't, it's straight. It certainly helps. The other thing you can do is you can do quad tightening. So in other words, put your foot not on the gas pedal or the brake, put the other foot on the ground and do basically small mini squats. Yeah. And weight up. And the other thing, of course, is doing isometric exercises against the steering wheel, just pushing really hard on the steering wheel. Okay. On the steering wheel. Yeah. And doing chest isometrics. Yeah. And likewise against the door or the alley. Yeah. You're driving. I have to be careful. I don't recommend playing guitar. No. I've also had physiotoners, like flat band products that I've attached. We used to have an office in Sandpoint, Idaho, and I had to drive down there a lot. And I've gone through, I used to run down to Sweetgrass, Montana, like twice a week with a van full of pro fitters to get them to the U.S. line to cross them. Yeah. So I'd have physiotoners hanging out of the doors of the van on both sides, so I could, driving with one hand, grab these and work my muscles just to keep awake. Yeah. To get the pump blood flowing. But so there was some things that were safe that you could do, but moderation obviously was very important. So the best thing is to stop and move, but every hour is the best. But then some people, if you're on a timeline and you're being possibly not totally practical, what I'm saying, if you keep the muscles pumping and briefly do so and can stay, because if you start getting tired and sleepy, you know, that's a different kind of risk. It's probably higher risk than if you can at least keep the blood flowing and stay alert. That is a much better solution than someone who's going to drive and become unalert. That would be my comment.
Awesome. Great feedback. Does anyone else have any more questions? We're just coming up. We're actually beyond an hour. Wow, time flies when you're having fun, hey? Any more questions, Bill? Or does anyone with an open mic want to ask the last question? We're good?
We're good.
Comment, Bill. And to anyone else now in the future who listens to this recording, it's really as simple as like, why we have time that's limited, but we have endless time until it's gone. Yeah. Why wouldn't we want to have a good relationship with gravity? Yeah. We know it's going to win. Our strategy here is be friends with it as best as we possibly can until it decides it's not our friend anymore. Yeah. You know, and it's our choice, right? We all have this choice. Yeah. You know, I've always said balance is the essence of movement, and movement is the essence of life. So choose movement, because you have that option until it's taken away from you. And good posture and movement is how you win the game. That's right. And it's a game of life, and we're all playing it. And the only way you lose is you choose to stop playing, or you're done. Yeah. You know, so you know, these little toys that will last a lifetime can empower you and do so much for you and your family, whether it's your grandparents, yourself, or your children. And you know, this makes so much sense. It doesn't make sense to wait. It's like, don't wait till tomorrow to brush your teeth. Yesterday is a much better time to start, but if you didn't start yesterday, this seems like a really good time.
There you go. Yeah, that's a great comment, Louis. So I guess we'll start to close it down here. I'm just gonna make a quick comment. Like, if you are having any concerns with your joints and it's slowing you down through mobility, there's 3 ways to engage with our company. One is you can just go to our website, nosecreekphysiotherapy.com, and you can download a free report for that body part you're concerned about. Another way is you can just talk to Bell, and you can book what we call a virtual discovery visit. So we can go online and we can have a chat. We have 4 key questions we always like to review with patients, and we always want to sort of set goals with you and also see if we can help you. Because we do get some patients that come into the office where they might have a few red flags, and so that's where we're usually involving your doctor as well if there's a red flag sort of in their history. And then the last thing is, if you're just sick and tired of that darn back pain or hip or knee or whatever body part it is, then just give Bill a call and we can book a full evaluation right away and sort of get going with your care. Another little gift you have for today that I'm going to give everybody. So everyone that attends, Bell's going to send out an active office stretch video as well as a handout that can be sent to you guys. Bell's going to fall through with the email, and it'll be a digital copy of the sort of the sheet that we normally give out when we're talking about city disease with different groups in town. How do they get a hold of you, Louis? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Our website is www.fitter1, that's F-I-T-T-E-R, numeral1.com, and our brand is Fitter First. If you Google Fitter First, you'll also get us. We have a YouTube channel called Fitter First, of course, that would be logical. Yeah. And if you look for the return of S.A.M, it's kind of our 35-year summary in a 1-minute YouTube little video story about S.A.M and why all this makes so much sense. And Bell, I'll actually send you a couple of things to attach to that package, that little card I showed you about the desk exercises.
Yes.
And unfortunately, our showroom on Blackwood Trail and Ogden Road, right beside the Crossroads Market, is closed right now. But in our website, we have catalogs. If you ever want to call 800-FITTER1, that's our toll-free number. We're in Calgary. You know, can send you products. We have a 10% off on our website for everybody. It's our COVID-1 celebration. COVID-1, COVID-19, sorry. And normally we have a very nice store with lots of really neat things for your friends and family down there. We have a very nice place to visit. It's been called the best adult toy store in the world because there's so much healthy things in it.
It's fun. You guys got to come check it out.
It's a really neat store.
Yeah.
And we would love to earn your business and help you age gracefully. It's kind of our goal in life, is to help people make the best of every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. You can see why Louis and I get along. We have the same mission in life, really. It's about keeping people moving, giving them a high-quality life and a long life. So in the chat box now, I want you guys to type in, what was your takeaway from today? So what did you learn, just the top thing off your head that you think was most important that you took away from today's lecture? So just go ahead and type that in. Whether it was sitting, standing products, the fact that I need to do some active office stretches, whatever your takeaway was. Bill, can you see those in the chat box?
Yes. No, I just have a thank you from Melissa.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Have a good day. And then she loves the stretches.
Okay, good. Super duper. The last thing I want you guys to do after you put in your takeaway is I want you to rate this. So Louis and I tried our best to put together a really, information-packed 1 hour on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 being like, that was the worst workshop I've ever attended, to 10, that was like amazing. Please put the number in there and just let us know. And Belle and I will be reviewing the rating sort of later on, and we'll get some feedback. Now, the other thing too is that while you're typing in the rating, if it wasn't a 10, and you say you put in a 7, my burning question to you would be, hey, how could we have made this a 10? So go ahead, just write in a comment too, say whatever it was. And we end our virtual treatments the same way. We've got so much amazing feedback from our patients. We've changed our virtual treatments online quite a bit within the last 4 weeks already, just from our patient feedback. So we love that feedback.
We're all trying to learn and trying to get better.
Yeah.
That's all we can do in the new world.
That's right. And I would like to thank again Louis Stack for letting me come down to his amazing showroom and doing a session with us today. And just a sneak peek for next week, we'll be doing the same sort of format next week, a different topic. Can't remember off the top of my head what our topic is for next week, but it's going to be very similar sort of theme, I'm sure. But so tune in next week if you'd like some more information. All right, so I hope you guys have a great week till next week, and take care and stay safe.
Bye. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
All right,
Be
thanks
well.
again. Yeah, bye-bye.